So you're an immigrant here in the United States and you got married to your husband or wife who's a United States citizen. You know what? You can do adjustment of status. What is adjustment of status? Adjustment of status is this process where you can stay in the United States and get a green card. That's right. You don't have to go back to your home country. If you came to the United States, were inspected, and you came on, let's say, some sort of a visa. It doesn't even have to be like a student visa. It could be a visit visa or any other type of visa. There's certain types that allow you to stay in the United States and get a green card by marriage, meaning you're allowed to file the I-130 and the 485 petition concurrently and do adjustment of status. So a lot of times clients will say, hey, I want to see if I can get a green card in the United States. The process they're talking about is adjustment of status. I'm going to explain all the details in this video where we talk about what forms you have to file, what type of evidence you have to prepare, the general timeline and the process for it, and if you're going to have an interview or not. And I'll give you some tips on how to avoid getting an interview and just getting your green card mailed. Okay. So now let's start. Again, this is for immediate family members. Immediate family members in this scenario I'm talking about are husband and wife. So let's say you came from Europe on an ESTA visa, or you came from, let's say, Africa, Nigeria on a visit visa, and you were inspected, admitted, and you came to the United States, you met somebody, you got married to that person who is a United States citizen, and they're going to be then filing a petition for you. All right. The petition is going to be the form I-130 petition. Now, the great thing about when you're here in the United States is that you can do concurrent filing, which is called adjustment of status I-485 that goes along with the I-130. Okay. So you're here, you file that petition. Also, I would recommend, as would most attorneys do, file the work permit with it as well, which is the I-765 and also the travel document. However, it's really important that when you file the 485, the adjustment of status application, you do submit the I-864. That is really, really critical. I know this because one client came and hired me because they filed adjustment of status and didn't submit the financial information and their case got denied. So make sure you do that. Okay. You got to file the I-864. At the end, I'll recap and list all the forms. That's the forms that you're submitting. Now let's talk about the evidence, because the forms are not hard. Anybody can download them, fill them out, and submit them. You got to make sure you submit them correctly. You don't want to get rejected. But the evidence is really the crucial part about getting your case approved and what's going to make a difference whether it gets approved sooner or later or whether you have an interview. All right. Now, on marriage-based cases, I've done this in other videos. You got to submit enough evidence to convince the government that you are in what's known as a bona fide and legitimate marriage and relationship. What does a bona fide and legitimate marriage and relationship look like on evidence? Well, you have a lease agreement together. You have bank accounts together. You have financial transactions together. Maybe you have car insurance together or some sort of health insurance together. Okay. Those are all some of the key aspects of it. Then you've got a nice wedding that you did. It doesn't have to be a big fancy wedding, but something that you went to court, you took photos, you had some place that you went out nice to kind of spend time with family. You have a lot of photos of you guys over a period of time as well. And it doesn't look like it's just something that randomly happened. It's something that looks like you were talking to the person for a while and that you decided to get married and spend your life together. All right. Now that's what adjustment of status in terms of the evidence is going to require. One important note, I know that a lot of my clients will ask me, Mr. Salim, I don't have a social security number. I can't make a bank account. And I did another video about how you don't need social security numbers to make a bank account. You can do it with a tax ID number. So check out that video as well if you have some problems with it. All right. Now, let's say you've got the forms, you've got the evidence all put together. You submit the application. You got to pay the filing fees. Right now, before April 1, the filing fees, as of date, is $1,760. It's going to go up a lot more after that, somewhere close to like over $2,000. And depending on what forms you file with it, sometimes up to $2,800 or so. So just pay attention to the filing fees. You got to pay the U.S. government all their money in support of it. All right. So now let's talk about the process. Once you submit the application, you get the receipt notice. The green card application application generally takes about a year and year and a half, especially in New York City and larger cities, to get processed and decided, and you get the green card. However, the great thing is when you're filing the application for adjustment of status, you can submit the travel document and the work permit. The work permit is the one that everybody asks me about. Hey, Mr. Salim, I really got to work and support my husband or my wife, or I need extra money because New York City's so expensive. We can't pay the bills. When am I going to get my work permit? Right now, the work permit for adjustment of status, marriage base, is taking about, like, I would say between 4 to like 6 months or so. I've seen situations where some of my clients got it in like 1.5, 2 months or 3 months. Usually they have the work permit and the social security number or card at the same time or so. All right. So it could take longer, but usually that's a time frame between 4 to 6 months or so. All right. Now, the travel document, that does take a little bit longer. The travel document I've seen take up to sometimes like 6, 7, 8 months or so, 9 months in some scenarios. The travel document lets you go back to your country. So if it's Nigeria, you get to go back to Nigeria, spend time with family, take your new husband or wife back to Nigeria, or Mexico if you need to go back to your home country as well, or anywhere else in the world. All right. So that's really important in terms of understanding that while the case is pending for the green card, you can still get the work permit, the social, and the travel document and kind of have a little bit of a normal life. All right. Now, imagine it's like a year's passed by. You're probably going to be getting closer to your interview. All right. So some people, if you do everything I tell you earlier in terms of submitting enough evidence, in terms of showing you're in a relationship and it's a bona fide relationship, immigration might not do an interview for you. All right. And if you get really lucky and they just mail you a green card, because they did that to a lot of my clients, you don't have to worry about the interview. But now let's talk about the interview. All right. So you get the notice for the interview. On that day, you and your husband and wife have to be prepared. You got to bring all of your documents with you. Original marriage documents, marriage certificate, original passport for, the husband, wife that's a citizen, birth certificate for the husband and the wife. Also, you got to bring proof that you've been spending time together. So bring a lot of photos with you, bring a lot of bank statements, utility bills, lease agreements, or wherever you're living, some proof that you're living together, cohabitating together. Health insurance information would be helpful. Car insurance or information. If you don't have those things, a lot of my clients, I help them prepare affidavits from friends and family, like letters of support related to what they have in terms of evidence. So you have to go prepared and be really focused for your interview, because that's going to make a difference. If you show to the immigration officer that you're serious and that you are prepared, you're going to have a really smooth interview and hopefully it'll get approved. Now, there are scenarios where immigration doesn't think you have enough evidence and they might send you another notice on another day for a Stokes interview. I'll make another video about that when they think your marriage isn't real. But if you do everything I'm kind of saying, you're going to be able to get that husband and wife's green card here in the United States without having to go back overseas. All right. Thank you so much.